My friends, welcome back. Chapter 4, Part 2. Let's finish off Chapter 4 right now. We left off with the election of 1800. The election of 1800 saw the first peaceful transfer of power because the first two presidents, Washington and Adams, Federalist. But the new president, Thomas Jefferson, was a Democratic Republican. When Thomas Jefferson takes over, and remember, nothing happened, it was a peaceful transfer of power. The question is how much was Thomas Jefferson going to attempt to reduce big government? Remember, he's a Democratic Republican. They were for a weak national or federal government and a strict interpretation of the Constitution. So he did a few things. He got rid of the whiskey tax. He decreased the size of the U.S. military, relied more on militias. So that was a small government move. But then he went ahead and made a huge government move with the Louisiana Purchase. Thomas Jefferson in 1803 was the president who oversaw the Louisiana Purchase. What is this territory? This is the territory. All here is the Louisiana Purchase territory. Bought from France. France got it from Spain because of the French Revolution or because of Napoleon's interactions with Spain. Gets the land, sells it to the United States. Couple reasons this is important is because this little guy right here, this is the Mississippi River. And think about it, if the United States controls all the territory here, that gives them complete control of the Mississippi River. There's one reason the Louisiana Purchase was such a big deal. Here's another reason, size. It is going to double the size of the United States, that one piece of land. Cost $15 million. You might think that's a lot of money. That's incredibly cheap for the amount of land that was gotten with the Louisiana Purchase. All right, so if we've got land, we got to explore this land, right? Thomas Jefferson puts Meriwether Lewis and William Clark in charge of exploring, mapping out the territory, even seeing if there's a Northwest Passage to go through and explore this new Louisiana Purchase territory. Now, the big question everybody's going to have is, are these guys going to survive or are they going to die? How are they going to communicate? They don't speak the Native American languages. Well, one person solved many of those problems, and that is Sacagawea. Sacagawea was Lewis and Clark's Native American guide. She also, at times, was pregnant, and then, after her pregnancy, had a small child. This helped protect Lewis and Clark on their journey, on their expedition. Right here is the expedition. They even jump on this river. We haven't talked about this river, but this is the Missouri River. They take it west. They go into Oregon country. We'll get to that a little bit later. Never find the Northwest Passage because there ain't no Northwest Passage. But with the help of Sacagawea, they make it. And under Thomas Jefferson, for $15 million, the Louisiana Purchase doubles the size of the United States of America. Shift gears. Let's talk about the judicial branch. You have the executive branch, you've got the legislative branch, and then you've got the judicial branch. The judicial branch was like the little tiny branch that didn't make that much, didn't have a lot of power, got pushed around a lot. Until John Marshall came around. John Marshall strengthens the power of the judicial branch, and he does it mostly with one court case. That court case was Marbury versus Madison. Quick backtrack. John Adams, president, appoints all sorts of Federalist judges the night before he's going to go away, because Thomas Jefferson's going to take over. One of the guys he appoints is this guy, William Marbury. When Thomas Jefferson takes over, Thomas Jefferson tells his Secretary of State, James Madison, don't deliver the appointments. That means don't give William Marbury his job. Just keep it on your desk. Well, William Marbury sues James Madison, says, I need my job. So it goes to the Supreme Court. Here's the question. John Marshall's going to decide, are the Federalists going to win? Are the Democratic Republicans going to win? He says, no, that's not the point. I am going to strike down a law. The Supreme Court strikes down the Judiciary Act of 1789. This was a law that said this is how appointments are going to work out. He said that law was unconstitutional, and it was gone. That's important. Guys, at the end of the day, who cares about William Marbury? Who cares about James Madison? Marbury versus Madison establishes judicial review. What judicial review says is the Supreme Court has the power to strike down laws that are unconstitutional. That is going to greatly strengthen the power of the judicial branch. Cool? Cool. Tell you what's not cool. It's like every time that American shippers try to do business with France or try to do business with Great Britain, they get taken over. They get intercepted. Their ships are completely taken over. Well, Thomas Jefferson says, this is crazy. How about we're not going to do any business with any of you? So he comes up with the Embargo Act of 1807. The embargo says, we won't do business with France. We won't do business with Great Britain. They've got to stop intercepting our ships, and then we'll go back and do business. This might sound great. The only problem is no business means no trade. No trade means no money. The Embargo Act of 1807 decreases trade in America and greatly harms the United States of America economically. And with that, Thomas Jefferson leaves as President of the United States. He gets taken over by James Madison, our old father of the Constitution. And as soon as James Madison comes over, he's got a little problem on his hands. He's got the War of 1812 brewing. What are the causes of the War of 1812? First thing's impressment. I might have been saying it before as the intercepting of ships, but another name would be impressment. Here's how impressment works. American shippers come over, their ships get taken over, the American sailors get forced into service in the Royal Navy. It's like adult kidnapping. Well, that happens a lot. There's one cause. When that happens, as we said, that is going to disrupt trade. So the impressment disrupts the trade of the United States with France and with Great Britain, hurting America economically. Well, with this happening, there also was conflict with Native Americans. You're looking at a scene, a dramatic picture of the Battle of Tippecanoe in Indiana Territory. Look at these Native Americans. If you look closely, they're holding rifles. These rifles were made in Great Britain. When the Battle of Tippecanoe ends, the remaining Native Americans in the battle flee to Canada, British Canada. You see, Americans think this is an example that Great Britain is using the Native Americans to slow down, to interfere with Western expansion. So, in their opinion, Great Britain's messing with trade, and Great Britain is messing with getting the Native Americans to attack the U.S. The other thing was war hawks. There were a group of people, most notably two, Henry Clay, Kentucky, John C. Calhoun, South Carolina, who pushed Madison for war. That is why Madison High School are called the War Hawks, okay? All this hawkish push. Calhoun on the right, eek, will eventually age uniquely. But the point is, he is pushing him to war, and Madison does declare war. War starts with the invasion of Canada, a three-pronged attack by the United States of America. Fail. The early stages of the war are bad. Great Britain does quite well to defeat these American invasions. Then Great Britain says, oh, it's time for us to make a statement. They sail into the Chesapeake Bay, go up the Potomac River, and burn the capital city of D.C. Now, they didn't burn all the civilians. They didn't burn civilian buildings. They just burned the Capitol and the White House to send a message. When they were done burning D.C., they went up the Chesapeake Bay and attacked Baltimore. But Baltimore was defended quite well. The local militia at Fort McHenry defended Baltimore. Baltimore never got burned. Baltimore never came under British occupation because of the defense of Baltimore. While Baltimore was being defended, a young lawyer named Francis Scott Key wrote a poem called The Star-Spangled Banner. It goes like this. Oh, say, can you see by the... Yeah, right. I'm not singing that. One thing you should know is our national anthem is really just the first stanza. There's 3 other stanzas afterwards. Francis Scott Key while defending Baltimore, okay? So things start to go good for the United States. Things get bad for the Federalists. The Federalists never liked the war because remember, James Madison is a Democratic Republican. In 1814, in Hartford, Connecticut. The Federalists plan the Hartford Convention. It does two things. Number one, it talks about the Federalists up north seceding, meaning leaving the United States of America. Two, they proposed constitutional amendments, pro-Federalist Constitution amendments, which were never acted on. But here's the point. Good stuff's happening. We got the Star-Spangled Banner. We got Baltimore being defended. The battles are going the United States' way. And the Federalists meet to talk about these un-American things, like leaving the United States of America, secession, excuse me. So the Hartford Convention is going to make the Federalists disappear. This is going to be a death blow to the Federalist Party. You don't know any Federalists today because the Hartford Convention happens. Treaty of Ghent will end the war in 1814. War's over. Good, that's one thing. The other thing, it restores pre-war boundaries. Nothing really changes. The U.S. doesn't get any land. The U.S. doesn't lose any land. Same for Great Britain. But the Treaty of Ghent will confirm the independence of the United States of America. It's like, at one time, the U.S. wobbly country strengthened by the success in the War of 1812. Confirmed the independence. People aren't going to be, in theory, messing around with the United States as much because the Treaty of Ghent confirms their independence, okay? Then there was Andrew Jackson in the Battle of New Orleans. In New Orleans, a guy right here named Andrew Jackson becomes a national hero when he and his troops defeat the British in January of 1850. Oh my gosh, in 1815, that's after the treaty had been signed. You see, word had not gone down to New Orleans in time. They fought the battle after the treaty had been signed. But the point is, it was a decisive victory, and Andrew Jackson becomes a national hero with the Battle of New Orleans. Guys, War of 1812 does three more things, and then we're done. First, it increases American patriotism. This nationalism, strong, intense pride for the United States of America, comes out really for the first truly real and passionate way after the War of 1812. But it also is going to give new claims to new territory. Right up here, so if this is all the United States feeling good about the War of 1812, the United States is going to make a claim into Oregon Territory or Oregon Country, upper left part of the continental United States. There will be increased also migration into Florida after the War of 1812. So the United States expanding, claim in Oregon, a claim that was shared with Great Britain, and migrating, meaning movement, to Florida at the end of the War of 1812. And my friends, that is a wrap. It has been an absolute pleasure. Hit those note cards. Watch this video as much as you need to. Let me know if you have any questions, and I bid you fair studying.